When you start to live your life on paths that you know you're supposed to take, when you identify things in your life that line up correctly, when you realize you're stopping more to embrace what's around you, when you realize the amount of gratitude that you start to develop for life and for the smallest things, the wake up call, it hits you like a ton of bricks. I know that no one's truly fully healed, and healing is a lifelong process. Healing is a lifelong process. I know that when it comes to evolving one's mentality, it's to me the feeling of living your whole life and running into a wall every day, running into that same wall. And that's it. You live your life thinking that there's some significant purpose, but you realize you're just running into a wall. You run into this wall until you can't run anymore, and then you're being put into a wheelchair and you're being pushed into a wall until you cack and die. And regardless of what everybody else feels and how they wish to put their own mentality towards this, I did not want that. Nor did I know what I was doing, where I was going, or what it would be like to let go of things, to let go of people, to let go of materials, to let go of wealth, to let go of money, to let go of ideals. At some point, people will wake up or they won't. And at some point, people will realize that they're a slave to this mentality that they have, and they'll make amends with it. I couldn't do that. My whole life I spent looking at the world as a place that I could never fit into. Looking at the world as a place that wasn't meant for someone with a skin tone like mine, and someone with learning disabilities like mine, someone who's short, someone who's bald. There's a lot of sadness in my life when it came to who I was and how I could identify to be a better person. But my reality check was I didn't like what society laid for me. I did not like the plate that was put in front of me. I did not particularly care for the cards that were dealt to me in life. So I made that move as an adult to keep everything that I was upset with and everything that I didn't agree with in life. And I used that as fuel to develop what I would consider power, materials, cars, clothes, woman. And that's where I hit the wall. Just hitting the wall every day. You think, let me put this in my aspect. I think that at some point life makes sense and it just works and you feel peace one day. It never came. I didn't have it, nor did I have anything in my body telling me that let's not feel pain. I didn't have that permission. I never received that approval to be told that I could one day not be in pain. I could one day not envy someone else's work life, someone else's income. someone else's woman. I didn't like this feeling of knowing that I had to pretend to know my place in society and shut up. It's tough. It's tough. It took me 33 years to finally put all the pieces of my life together to realize I was living in a fairy tale of tragedy. I was living with hopes that greatness would come one day. I was living thinking that I would just naturally evolve and find meaning in this life. That never came. So here we are at 34 years now. And one thing happens. And when that one thing happens, you realize that you're left with the biggest decisions of your life. I had someone, thought that I was powerful, thought that I could achieve things on this surface level life that I was living. And said person disappeared from my life. That was it. Just the simple action of somebody ghosting me was the needle that broke the camel's back, saying was a cherry on top. It was it. Something about me going through this pain as an older person. I was sick. I was physically sick, emotionally sick. I felt sick. I was tired. I was sick of it. I felt the same pain that I felt when I first got stood up in high school at the age of 14. Just being ghosted and left. And it was the same feeling when I was in my 20s being left. I did not like that feeling of jealousy and what if and emptiness. And that was it for me. I woke up and I realized it's either a major decision of just end it all. Just end it. Get the hell over it. Like, we're done. Just end life. Or just keep pushing through and hope that one day something good's gonna come. And that's when it clicked. There was a missing option that I never would have walked down and thought of. And that was self-work. Self-work. It's basically saying that you own your life and you decide to choose what you want to do with it versus letting society get its hands on you and telling you what to do and how to be, versus a loved one leaving your life and you doing everything that you can to receive that person back, versus death. I chose life. I didn't know where it was going to take me, but what did I have to lose? I didn't believe in myself ever. I never saw myself as someone who was prosperous or someone who could develop and make a name for himself. That's what it was for me. Little poor, half Samoan, half black kid from the streets of Oxnard. There's no significance in me. So fast forward to 34. Here we are. It's crazy how fast everything clicks when you have that wake-up call. One day it hit me while I was working. I decided to look up what jealousy meant. I decided to understand how to overcome it. because I hated that feeling. I hated that feeling of not being enough. I hated that feeling of chasing something and trying my best to please everybody else to win their approval in their heart. I hated that feeling of being trapped, being led by money and people's emotions because I knew no better. I could not stand that feeling. Jealousy was the one thing that I could truly articulate in that time of pain, and it took for hours of research and hundreds of YouTube videos later to identify there's just one person who spoke in this hood mentality, just really thug with it. But he said, the only reason you're jealous is because you don't love who you are. And that was the one thing that I remember hearing where it actually sparked something inside of me. And it sparked something where I was like, this dude has no idea what he's talking about. Move on. But keeping his voice in my mind of a dude saying, you're jealous because you do not love who you are. When I had his voice in my mind as I'm researching things and looking up everything, it literally just trickled. And within hours, within days, the wake-up call hit, and reality stepped in and slapped me in the face. So here we are, reborn, starting over. It literally was something like a human in his infantile stage. I had no idea how to walk, and the difference was there's no one to guide you. There's no one to hold your hand and help you to overcome, to help you to continue to develop. It was just me. I had great people in my life, a wonderful family, my mother and my sisters and cousins, aunts, who were there to support me in what they believed support was, which was their codependent love. And regardless, to them, it's true love. You can't tell someone what they're doing. It's just love. So being able to have that cushion of my family to be there for me, it was nice until you went into more roadblocks when you're waking up and your environment does not wake up. My family's there and they will always be there. But when you start to implement that change, this is where you start to receive the pain, like a real pain, a pain of feeling abandoned, truly feeling abandoned, a pain of being alone, a pain of, regardless of who's on this planet, no one will ever cope with you, and no one knows how to think. No one knows how to resonate with you. And a lot of people call it ego death. That hit me in the first year of my development. And with self-work at hand, that was the one thing to keep me grounded from literally just losing touch with life. So if I had a battle with my mother, for example, and I decided to instill boundaries, and I decided to create my own new standards for life, it would be challenged mercifully. It was challenged. And to the point where I would question my own beliefs and I would question my own thoughts and how I decided to live and if it was even worth it to continue pursuing this self-love journey. And right when you think you're about to give up, things just make more sense. So my self-love journey has been in the works for about 2 to 3 years now. And it wasn't until recent that you start to realize every day you're learning something new. Every day you're learning how to read people. Every day you're learning how to identify what people are actually trying to say and what they're trying to do. It's lonely, but had it not been for self-love, I don't know, nor do I even care to want to think about how my life would be or where I would be and how many girls' hearts I would be breaking, how many lies I'd be building and hate I would have. Life was tough. It's much better now. And this wake-up call has been significant. And it's something that honestly led me back to God. It led me back to understanding that my God's existence is significant. When you're alone and you have nothing left, and you hear words such as that's when God is most present in your life, you can either decide to believe in that or not. I chose to believe it. And one thing led to another, and I realized that based upon how people break down religion, I don't believe that my God has me out here suffering for a reason. I don't believe that God wants his children to suffer. I don't believe that God created everybody and said, hey, that person that you see over there, I'm going to give you the ability to know what it means to compare people. And you're going to be jealous and you're going to be envious of that person. And I want you to enjoy that pain while I take care of that person over there. And I give them a much better life than you. That's me. That's my thoughts. That's my choosing to believe and to articulate that people had it better than I did. I don't know what people are going through. It doesn't matter if you have what society considers wealth. It doesn't matter if you have nothing. It matters on how each person thinks about themselves and how they carry themselves. When I learned that money was not the answer, when I learned that materials were not the answer, and that's what led me to here. Here we are right now. I'm at a point where I can look back and identify all the pain that I had and situations that I went through. And one of the best things of healing is you're able to reflect and say, I forgive you. I forgive you for thinking that you were nothing back then. I forgive you for listening to toxic people in your life and wanting to please them. I forgive you for thinking that you had to be like everybody else. You can forgive yourself and you can say, we learn, we become better. And now when people talk, it's a thing where you can identify what people's true passions are. You can identify it in the words that they use. You can identify it in their eye contact. Someone who loves and respects who they are, they won't break eye contact. Someone who loves and respects who they are, they won't want to instill pain intentionally on someone else. Someone who loves and respects who they are would be willing to acknowledge what everybody and anyone's going through, would be willing to understand that it's not a race thing, it's not a money thing, it's not a status thing, it is a human thing. And every human at our core identifies the exact same way. We all have emotions, we all have blood, we all get angry, our blood flows and rushes to places, and we all are capable of doing horrendous things with our actions and thinking horrendous things with our thoughts and minds. One of the biggest reality checks is knowing that you're only in control of two things as a human being on planet Earth. And that is your thoughts, which flow to your emotions and your feelings and how you see things. And the other part is your actions. Those are the only things that every human is in control of. So this wake up call, it's in the making and it's progressing now. All I can say is it's nice. It's nice. NICE. It is nice to take a deep breath and to worry over nothing anymore. It's nice to breathe and to be authentic and to take your time and to realize that you're protected if you wish to believe that. All you have to do is embrace this very present moment and live right now. That's all you have to do, is just live to be in the moment. Because let God handle the rest. You don't know the future. You don't control the future. You control less than a nanosecond of what's happening right now. That's it. Why worry? Why put yourself out there to believe that you have control over things when you really don't? You just control yourself. And when you become grounded, when you become self-aware, when you become self-loving, life takes off. I have pain every day. I have negative thoughts every day. And the difference is I can identify that my pain is coming from something that I'm just not identifying. And that allows me to be at peace to know, you know what, this is my pain. I'll handle it. Versus, no, I don't want to feel this pain, so let's cover it up with some alcohol and drugs and distractions. It's easy to deal with yourself because you want to love yourself and you want to be there for yourself and treat yourself and tend to yourself. And all that does is make you want to do that same thing to the world. It just makes you want to have authentic, genuine relationships with everyone around you. And it's also easy to be alone. It's easy to be left in your own world, to be at peace. And for me personally, to thank God for the abundance around me that I've never, ever thanked Him for in my past. I have air that is limitless. There's water that is limitless. There's food that is limitless. And we live from a place of scarcity. It's amazing how self-love really does change a lot of your perspective in life. The Prince Sua Experience.